Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today to discuss the Fab Five principles of the Constitution. The first of the five is limited government. The Constitution limits the powers of the government by making explicit grants of authority. Limited government was created to allow the government to be powerful, but not too powerful. It was created in contrast to the doctrine of the Divine Rights Act of the Kings. These new Americans were fed up with how things were going under the King's rule, so they needed some control, but not complete control. As Thomas Jefferson once said, a government big enough to give you everything you want is strong enough to take away everything you have. We see this many times throughout the Constitution, such as in Article 2, where it states that no state shall without consent of Congress lay any imports or duties on imports or exports. That would be one of the many restrictions put into the Constitution. The next principle is federalism. Federalism is the power of this government that is separated between national and state governments. In the Articles of Confederation, the power was controlled by the states, which created federalism to evenly divide the government power between the people and the states. The 10th Amendment is where federalism is most evident in the fact that it states, "The power not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people." Thirdly, the next principle is separation of powers. Separation of powers is what makes our government what it is today. Separation of powers is the principle or system of vesting in separate branches the executive, legislative, and judicial powers of a government. Legislative, executive, and judicial have withstood the test of time, showing again why these principles were so brilliant. For each power there is a Separation Act section in the Constitution for them. The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excesses, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general warfare of the United States. The executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts as Congress may from time to time obtain and establish. Popular sovereignty is one of the most important principles. It's a principle that the people are the source of the government power. The idea for popular sovereignty was originally made for the idea that settlers or territorial lands should decide the terms under which they would join the Union. In the Constitution, there is a preamble which is the beginning of the document. This is located there because it's so important to the states. Where do we find this? We, the people of the United States, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. The fifth and final principle is checks and balances. Checks and balances was created so each branch of the government holds some control over the other two branches. When the Constitution was being made, framers believed that creating checks and balances would be the only way to prevent tyranny in America. Checks and balances and a system to help the president and guide him through his decisions. Checks and balances is evident when trying to pass a bill. For example, every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it become a law, be presented to the President of the United States. In conclusion to the Fab Five, there are many rules that apply to the Constitution. Each one of these principles makes the Constitution in America into what it is today. All of them have withstood the test of time and continue to be used every day in America. Land of the free, because of the brave. Don't interfere with anything in the Constitution. That must be maintained, for it is the only safeguard of our liberties. Abraham Lincoln.